The world is never going to get quieter. Most leaders are waiting for a pause in the static, but that pause is not coming. Today, we're looking at noise, not just the mess of your Slack and email notifications, but also the chatter in your mind. And my guest today will help us understand how to maintain intentional presence when the volume is at max. I'm Steve Muscatazzo-Pardi, author, and I help leaders build resilience through mentoring. Joining me today to help us through all this noise is Alina Mărgineanu. Alina is an internationally certified NLP Master Practitioner and coach, mentor, and founder of AVVA Performance. Alina has also been very helpful to me in my path as a mentor. And Alina, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you today to VISOR UP. Let's go.
Thank you, Steve, for inviting me.
My pleasure. So, Alina, we talk about noise as something which we've grown so used to that it's just something which is there. Like you can think of like the noise outside the building. But what actually is the cost to a leader every time they let that noise win? So I'm thinking if a leader is spending, I don't know, 30, 40% of their mental bandwidth on filtering out noise, then how much is left for taking decisions? What quality of decisions are they making with the remaining brain power?
That's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking that. So it's I would say short-term costs and long-term costs. For short-term costs, for instance, is the lack of focus. So leaders are more difficult in a more difficult situation to gather their energy and their focus, the mental focus, when they feel that there's a lot of noise around them or within them, because here is also a distinction that I would like to make. Internal noise from external noise. Of course, there is stress, increasing stress related to that. There is a lot of tension that may lead also to burnout eventually, a lack of performance over time, and that goes into more stress. So some costs are really visible immediately, or in the same time they feel that noise, and other costs are more subtle, but they have effect over time.
Okay, so noise is more than just a minor distraction. It can actually destroy their decision making, lead to burnout. Obviously, those are things that would impact their level of performance as an individual. And if they're leaders, then obviously there's an impact on their team and on the organization they work with.
Of course, the decisions and the way a leader is acting and interacting with the team and with the other stakeholders has a huge impact upon the overall performance, and it pretty much affects everyone. Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned just now two types of noise, internal and external.
Yeah, I was referring actually to the internal noise in regards to the mind chatter, for instance, that somebody is hearing, is perceiving, let's say, because this mind chatter is actually a series of thoughts and of feelings and of scenarios that are not visible in the exterior. So nobody else apart from the person following those thoughts cannot say that they really exist, because that they really only exist in their minds.
Okay, so this could be something like self-doubt, for example. I've got a challenge coming up and I'm thinking, oh, I'm not good enough for it, or I'm not prepared for it, which could be a meeting or just a conversation, but that sort of mental chatter.
Yeah, exactly. So this is good example of some sort of limiting beliefs. So these thoughts can pretty much limit the way the leader or the person is perceiving themselves. So the fact that they tell themselves that they are not able to do something or they are not ready to do something has an impact on how they feel, so on their emotional state, and eventually also their acts and their actions that they take, and of course the results that they get. So if they empower those thoughts, for them, they become true. So it's the truth that they construct inside their heads. So it's a way of undermining their performance that is rarely visible for somebody looking from the outside. This is why I was saying it's internal noise.
Internal noise.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is also something encouraging about how our brain is treating these kinds of thoughts, because it's only up to us to change them. So once we notice them, we also have the ability to change them. And that's something that that is very empowering for us to know and to practice.
Okay, so we actually can change those thoughts then in our head. So when we're thinking, any form of self-doubt or any limiting belief, and which might even be stopping you from going for an opportunity because you don't think you can do it.
Yes.
So you're saying we can actually work on that.
Yes,
to
and
turn it
actually
around and give ourselves a different message in our head.
Actually, it's not that much of a rocket science. So anyone can do this. Maybe at the beginning with the help of somebody else that can support them, or just by themselves. And it's a quite simple strategy. So first would be to notice the thought.
Okay.
And to detach from it, to see it for what it is. It's just a thought. If you buy into it, then it becomes truth for yourself. But if you consider it as just a thought and you don't like that thought, you can change that thought with another one. So first notice it, then see if it's really empowering you or disempowering.
Okay.
But then if you don't like it and you feel it's not helpful, find some other thought that can replace it.
Okay.
And just let the old thought go as quickly as it presented itself. So maybe has another journey to travel apart from your mind.
From being in your head. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pick up on this a bit later. So that was internal noise that's in our mind. And then what about external noise? Obviously, is not only limited to actual noise, as in sound.
Yeah, I would just add something to the first part, to the internal
Yes,
noise,
by all means.
as it can also be felt not just in the mind, but also in the body. So tension, agitation, these kinds of sensations can also seem like noise in a broader sense.
Okay.
So it's not just related with the way we trace our thoughts and we give into to limiting beliefs, but also the states that we have that are somehow derailing us from what we need to focus on.
Okay.
And coming back to your question about external noise, I think now we are growing more and more deeper into being exposed to external noise, from the urban noise for the people living in large cities. So that's the underlying sound that a large city has, and
Okay.
it has become almost unnoticeable for the people that live in those cities, but is quite disturbing for people that are new or are just visiting and feel it quite strongly. So they know something is off.
Yeah.
It's because the city is speaking to them very loudly.
Okay.
But
Makes
for
sense.
those that live here, somehow they have become very accustomed to that noise. So
Okay.
that's also a fact and a proof of our ability to adapt to the environment so that we can function even if the environment is not a very friendly one.
Okay. So following that example, if a person moved from a quiet area, let's say a country or rural area, into the city, it might be very unsettling at first,
It can be, yes, yes.
but over time, with them living with it, their mind starts to push it more into the background, and
Mm,
it's they're able to say, okay, this is not important. It's not a threat. It's not anything we need to do anything with, so we can safely ignore it. And it's still there, but it's no longer
an issue that,
an
yeah,
issue that they're thinking the whole time. Oh my, my goodness, what's all this noise?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So the brain has the ability to deem that noise and to be able to also focus on something else.
okay. So when we're looking at noise, so obviously I've had, the topic of this conversation came up from lots of leaders who are telling me that dealing with noise is their biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm,
So other things are maybe technically difficult. So in their different field, they have a technical challenge which they can overcome because they can learn it, they can speak to peers, and gain that knowledge that they need to move forward. But when it comes to noise, they seem to be stuck in not knowing what to do next. So with noise, I've had people mention notifications.
mm-hmm,
So somebody starts to work on something, let's say on a document, and then a notification comes in and you see it's on something important. So you go to look at that notification and you reply to that, and then you get caught into a conversation on that. And the document you started off doing is history. And end of the day, you still haven't done that document because the whole day you're going from one notification to another. Could be obviously, we've got WhatsApp, different instant messaging, emails coming in, different project software.
mm-hmm,
And then obviously the noise of the office. So if you're in an in-person office, people passing by your desk, I need this signed, can you approve my vacation leave? Conversations, discussions, which all happen and they're all possibly necessary,
mm-hmm,
but it means that I started off the day saying I need to do these three things, and at the end of the day, they still didn't happen because I let the noise win,
mm-hmm.
I feel like.
Yeah, for this kind of factors, um, there more often than not, there needs to be in place a strategy
Mm-hmm.
for the leader to tackle those distractions. For notifications, for instance, is or not really is, but can be quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
If they have an agreement that they make with themselves about how to handle those distractions. So,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, if they work that's a very basic time management strategy. It's not really a very complicated and in regards to how to tackle the noise, but just a basic time management strategy to work in band in let's say uh, 20 or 25 minutes
Mm-hmm.
slots. to focus 100% on one task.
Okay.
And in between have a 5 or 10 minute break to attend to those notifications, read messages, or something that has come up in between.
Okay, so ignore the notifications while you're working,
For a
and
limited
then
time slot,
say, okay, now I've got 10
and
minutes.
focus fully on one task, because a lot of studies have been made and all prove the same thing, that the productivity and the efficiency of somebody that is working, focusing on one task at a time, is significantly higher and induces an energy consumption that is far lower than somebody focusing on multiple things at the same time and answering notifications, because it's hard to believe that in 20 minutes, when you are not reading your notification, something dramatic is happening,
Going to occur.
that you need to answer on the spot.
Yeah. What one thing I used to do in I've done is when I need to focus, I put on the noise cancelling headset. So my team would know that when that is on, it means unless the building is on fire, leave me work. And then, as you're saying, I would do short stints of time and then take them off, obviously, so then I'm available to the team. But if you don't protect your space, then it's very easily taken over.
That's a very interesting strategy. Yeah. So it signals to everybody else, okay, not now. It's not a good moment.
Yeah, exactly. And then later there is their moment. So I wouldn't encourage any leader to spend all day with the headset on, because people do need you. But yeah, I found it helpful to organize my time in that way.
Yeah, and speaking about notifications, it's not just the messages that we get. It's also the almost compulsive behavior to check. So not just to see what has come in, but also to proactively engage into checking out what's new.
Okay.
Especially on social media or in emails or things like that. And for that, yeah, one way would be also to have specific time slots to check for also for social media interactions, or for postings, or for comments, or for things like that.
Okay.
Because being all over the place at the same time, it's not just tiresome, but it increases what we spoke earlier, the mind chatter. So getting stimuli, getting signals from different areas on different topics, it reduces the efficiency and reduces the focus. And what we are focusing on is not just reducing the noise, but also finding a way to enhance performance in a sustainable way.
Okay, but when you mention mind chatter, and so the fact that we can control those thoughts, I think it's easier to say than to do. So some mornings my mind feels like a runaway train. There's a thought and then another thought, and there are obviously some are work related. Some might be personal. If there's a personal worry or concern, something on your mind, it can be very hard to just have a constant stream of thoughts flying into your head. So what would you suggest a person does when they're on the workplace, at their desk or wherever they work, they need to get something done, but there's just a flood of this mind chatter. What can they do there and then to sort of ease it down and bring themselves back to that intentional presence? I'm at work and I'm focusing on this. How do we achieve that in practice?
Actually, nothing happens by itself in regards to performance. And to get into a performance state, so a centered state and focused state, first we need to be intentional about it. So if for instance somebody is finding herself or himself in a situation where they find it difficult to focus, then what I would suggest is to intentionally focus on what they have to do, on the task that they need to complete, and by their own intention and will, to just imagine that the sounds that they hear get dimmer and dimmer. In a way, they sort of program their mind and their senses to be directed towards what they want to achieve, and not the other factors that are around them. Or maybe for somebody that is not in a very how to say good state in regards to the level of energy that they have, just to calibrate internally. Okay, maybe from a scale from 1 to 10, what's my level now? And maybe it's 2 or 3, let's say.
So very distracted.
And it's not enough to start working and to get the job done properly. And then what they might do is just, okay, if it's just one level of on a level of 2 or 3, what can I do now to maybe enhance it and go to a little bit more, like 5, 6, or 7. And start with little things. Maybe it's just, okay, I need to take a few steps and walk a little bit around the office to just detach from the pressure that I feel now. Or maybe it's just go get a coffee or a tea or a glass of water. Or maybe put some music in my headphones and listen to some music that induces me a good state.
To help you with the focus. Okay, that's interesting. See, I use movement a lot when I'm shifting from one task or type of work to another. So let's say I've been 2 hours working on a document, for example. So very deep mental focus work. And now I need to do 2 hours phoning people. For the document, I'm very in my head, I was there with the document with my thoughts and I'm deep in that process. And if I phone someone immediately, I'm going to remain, my head is still there. I'm not on the phone with you. So when I have those big switches, I actually try to move a bit or go for a short walk or do something which gets me completely out of where I was in my previous state, and say, okay, now I'm in, I need to be more energetic, more in the mindset of talking to people, being more inspiring engagement and so on. So you're saying actually even on a more micro scale, to recalibrate and get yourself
because
to
it's
focus.
really important to have also our body on board with us. So not just the mind, but also the energy and the focus that can help us to attend to what we are intentionate about. And having these short breaks, like it does not need to be more than a few minutes, but just to get into and relax a little bit and stretch maybe a little bit if we can, where we find ourselves, or just taking a few steps, as I was mentioning earlier. So change the posture is really significant, because we often disregard the fact that our minds and our bodies are interrelated. And just by changing our posture, we can also change how we perceive something or the level of energy that we have. So it's one thing to for instance, just look down and have our heads bent towards something, and just take a step back and go with our back straight and look just for a few seconds at a distance. That will completely change how our brain is perceiving that text.
Okay, so these are more tips for that toolkit that leaders need to have, where they have different tips or ideas that they can try at different moments.
Yeah, and those can be used right in the moment. So right when they need to access some sort of additional resources to focus on what they need to complete. Of course, my recommendation would be to have some sort of daily practices to overall help them increase the level of performance, like being more aware of the mind chatter, for instance. So having like a daily exercise of just a few minutes, maybe in the morning, maybe at night, where they just notice what's going through their mind, and not do anything else, but notice and let the thoughts be seen, and then move away as they notice them. So that's just a very simple mindfulness practice, for instance, of noticing the thoughts without trying to change them or make them go away.
Okay, interesting. So I have another question for you, Alina. Is it possible that we flood? You mentioned earlier the addiction almost to checking the notifications to see what's new, to sort of see what's happening, right? I turned my head for 2 minutes, so what's new in the world? Is it possible that we flood ourselves with apps and software and notifications because we're scared of the silence?
Yes. To give you a very short answer, yes. I think that for many people, getting into those distractions is actually a way to fill up what is potential silence. Because we are trained and we are educated by society, by what is going on around us, to always do something. So to be involved in some sort of action.
Okay, to be busy.
To be busy 24/7. So almost even sleep is considered as something that is not very acceptable, as you need to reduce the number of hours that you sleep. So that's a sign of high achiever. Yeah.
Which leads to burnout, of course.
Which leads to burnout over time. And I think we are all unique. So I think everyone's job is to know themselves and how they best function. So if somebody is comfortable sleeping lesser number of hours, that's okay.
Then that's what, yeah.
But for somebody that's a drag, and that
needs more time, then they should take
they need more time, then they would need to reconsider that strategy and find one that is appropriate for them. And speaking of this idea of fear of silence, a lot of people mention that they are not able to meditate, for instance. That is the practice of sitting in silence, just because they are so addicted to noise and to action and to movement. For them, experiencing something that asks them actually to do the opposite creates at the beginning, at least, more noise and more tension.
Okay.
So it's like all of the sudden, when, for instance, you invite the person to relax a little bit and just sit with what they are sensing, their whole body is contracting, and so, okay, like a panic button was pressed.
Okay, there's silence and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to
I
handle
don't
this.
know. It's so new and it's so uncomfortable that I would rather do anything else but sitting in
But
silence.
this. Okay. So let
But
me check my phone in case there's a new notification.
yeah, it's like this anxiety that is coming in once they actually want to sit and relax a little bit. And this is why I that is why I was saying that for some practices, people actually need to take some time before getting into crisis. So these sorts of practices that are applied daily and used as training rather than something that needs to be restored. And I would encourage people to find their own practices that work for them, but practice them on regular basis. So it's like an athlete that needs to do some things every day, first to stay in shape, and then to enhance their performance.
Okay. Okay, so that's an interesting take. So you're seeing these as daily habits.
Yes.
Might be difficult at first because we're trying to shift our minds away from what it's used to, I suppose, what we've allowed to become normal, each of us, and intentionally trying to make more space. And I think key, the key takeaway from this conversation, Alina, is that the noise is not going anywhere. So if anything, it's going to be worse. There's more noise
Most probably, yes.
externally from inputs, be it sound or visual. And mentally, obviously, in these very volatile times, it's more likely that there is more mental chatter going on. There are more new situations that probably seeing as scary or threatening. So that is going to increase the chatter. So the only strategy left is to say, okay, there's all that noise, and then it's up to me to find my way of working through that noise. So the noise is going to be there. It's up to how I can, and all of us in our way, find our way to work through the noise.
Exactly. And it's like this saying that everyone is after your attention. So as long as we are intentionate about what we are setting towards, also that is acting as some sort of a signal for our brain to be able to more easily filter out what is not aligned with what we intend. And I would invite all the people that are listening to our conversation to just sit for a bit before engaging in any activity and look for the intention for which they are doing what they are doing. And once that intention is clear in their mind, their actions will follow that intention. And just by changing this and looking for ways to filter out what is not serving them, their performance will enhance a lot. And also the noise that they will feel from external factors will reduce itself, while the noise, the internal noise, will not be just a series of thoughts, of disempowering thoughts, but rather signals that will direct them towards achieving what they intend.
Okay.
So it's changing the strategy and using an intentionate way of doing things rather than reacting to what is coming towards us.
Okay. Alina, as you know, I could keep on talking about this all day. Our conversations normally run on a lot longer. However, conscious of time, can we maybe wrap up some of the things we've taught as maybe key takeaways from the conversation? I think one is what you've just mentioned is engage in activities with intention. So think, what is my purpose in doing this? And then stick to that purpose. So do I need to do it as quick as possible? Do I need to do it as accurate as possible? That's an intention, right? The reason why I'm doing this
Yes.
task.
So finding the intention in doing what we are doing. So when we do things on purpose, the clarity of focus is much higher, and the results come much faster than in any other way. So that will implicitly use our brain resources to focus on what we intend. And the noise around us will automatically dim out.
Fade away. Okay.
Yeah. So
Very
we
good.
will not have to focus on reducing the noise first and then get to
To the
action.
focus. Okay. The actual act of being intentional fades the noise itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in terms of distractions that you were mentioning, having a strategy of dealing with those distractions is very helpful. So for instance, those time slots allocated for working on a single important task, and then leaving some time slots for attending to those things that interfered during the time that we worked upon a single task and could not reply the messages or things like that that are not very urgent, so that they are not even if I remember a lot of times people getting emails with urgent in subject line. That urgency is for whom? So, and in order to see that, you need to read the email. So that distraction takes a lot of your time that you could use in a different way.
That's funny. One time I worked in an organization where we somehow got in the habit that every email was flagged as urgent. So it was funny that an email stood out when it was not with the red exclamation mark on the it stood up.
It looks like these are, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It looks like these are tiny things, but from my experience, I can say that these are pieces of a much larger strategy that somebody needs to have, and especially leaders need to have, for helping them create what they want to create and achieve what they want to achieve. So these are tips, maybe. But also I think that putting them together with other things and a greater vision for what they want to achieve, maybe by themselves or working with a professional, maybe with a coach or a mentor, or with a peer that have a shared interest, is really, really essential these days, because as you mentioned, noise is getting louder. And it's not going anywhere. And we will need to adjust our behaviors and the way we build our strategies more accurately in helpful ways.
around those. Okay, very good. Alina, thank you so much for joining me on VISOR UP. I will
Thank you for
share
inviting me again. Yeah.
I will share links where people can find Alina. And I think just as a closing thought on cutting out noise, as many of you know, I ride a motorbike, and the truth is that when I'm out riding, there are plenty of distractions going on all around. But to keep myself safe, my mind needs to filter out all of that noise and focus on what I'm doing right now and where I need to get to safely. And I think what has been very encouraging to hear from Alina today is that although it may be difficult to make a start, we can work on our habits and slowly build in this intentional presence that helps the noise to fade away and allows us to master the performance that we are looking for. So final thought, if you stop here, then this podcast was also just more noise. What are you going to take and implement from it?